Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. 2 more playoff games here on Thursday, recording this Wednesday night to try to get ahead of this stuff with you guys. Definitely want to make sure to subscribe to that channel. Don't miss any of the action moving forward. Going to have videos like this now moving forward when we have 2 games on a slate. Probably throw them into one episode like this one, giving you all the insights and matchup data that you need to get your plays down as well. Currently not looking great on Thursday night as we wait for this card to end. Got the Timberwolves and the Lakers going right now. If we can squeak out these last 3 bets that we've got here, all for plus money, then we are looking at a winning night, even though right now we're at 1-4, down about 3 units. This would get us above plus money on the night. So hoping to get that out to you guys tomorrow. I'll be talking about the record from today. But if that all sounds good, give this video a like. Let's get into everything we've got for Thursday night. Let's kick it off here with the Game 6 notes that I'm looking at for between this Knicks and Pistons series. We're going to kick it off in the Eastern Conference before we get to the other game, the Clippers and the Nuggets. The series pace does seem to be slowing down here for these 2 teams. We saw a 91.8 pace in the last game, and I think we're going to see something close to that here again coming up as these teams are just bruising the crap out of each other, right? And that was clearly apparent in the Jalen Brunson numbers that we saw from this game. He was kept in complete check, and I start with the more important stat here, which is 3 points in the fourth quarter. Probably even more important than the fact that he only had 16 points for the game, right? Because that fourth quarter is where he's been killing, getting double digits in each of the first 5 games of the series. And in this one, a big reason they lost was they couldn't come through in the fourth quarter, and Cade Cunningham did come through in the fourth quarter. Skip a bullet down there. You can see he had 13 of his 24 points in that fourth quarter. Mitch Robb played 23 minutes, the backup center there for the Knicks, and Cat wasn't even really in trouble. They ran those double big lineups a couple times. He ended up with a double-double as well, 11 points, or 13 points and 11 boards in that game for Mitch Robb, and it seemed to be working for them too. He was a +9 in his minutes on the floor, so we might see a bit more of those double bigs coming from Tibbs and the Knicks. Skipping the Cade one there and then going on to Toby Harris. He's still guarding Towns the whole game. There was a lot of Jalen Duren still on Karl Towns, and then Harris would come in and play some as well to help Duren avoid foul trouble, and that was not the case in this last game. It was all Tobias Harris on Cat all the time. He held him to 17 points in this last game and really kept him from being involved, as he's a much better option guarding Cat out on the 3-point line than, say, like a Jalen Duren. Keeps Duren out of foul trouble. Got him 14 boards as well, as he's able to play off ball and doesn't have to battle with Cat. So all things to consider for these props if we see that same matchup, which I think we should expect it here. Expect the same matchup of Tobias Harris entirely on Karl Anthony Towns in Game 6. Tim Hardaway Jr. or Malik Beasley, or neither, I guess, because Malik Beasley seemed like a guy. He was 2 for 4 in this last game, and Hardaway started 0 for 4. It didn't end up mattering because neither guy hit many shots past that. Either way, I think Beasley ended 2 for 7 after starting 2 for 4. Point is like, I don't know that we can bet on either of these guys anymore, because if one of them hits early, that guy's more likely to get more minutes than the other one. And it's just that simple. Like, Tim Hardaway Jr. should be expected to play more minutes than Malik Beasley, but it's the difference between Malik playing 28 minutes and 20 minutes is how does Tim Hardaway shoot the ball. If Hardaway comes out hot because he's the starter, and then Malik isn't as hot when he comes out, then THJ plays. My point is, I don't think we can bet on these guys, but if you do bet on either of them, just bet the high upside stuff. If one of them goes off, great, then just bet that. But the core line, both of them could easily go under, but one of them, if they go off, is going to get a higher ceiling for the amount of minutes and shots that they'll see in this game. As far as matchups go for this stuff, we know what we're going to see here. Cade Cunningham starting with the same starters, and Anunoby on Cade, Brunson on Hardaway, and everybody else really just guarding their position at this point. Cat does stay on Duren. They don't take him off the way that Duren comes off of Cat. So we'll see that matchup stay the same. And then on the other side of the ball, pretty much the same as well, except for, once again, just plug in Tobias Harris entirely on Karl Anthony Towns here in Game 6. As we jump into these player prop looks I have for this game, definitely make sure to check out propsmadness.com. That is going to be what we're always using here on the show, and you can get in on this platform for 25% off on your first month if you do use code LYB. This will also get you a 7-day free trial if you're interested in just testing it out before you jump into it. Happy to answer any questions in the comments about this stuff too, because this is the best, most efficient, time-saving way to find props in the NBA and in the WNBA, by the way, when we get to the ladies hoops in the summertime. As we kick it off here, I'm going to start with Cade, and I think this is too high. I believe in what we've seen here from Cade in the playoffs. As I filter this to just the games that he's played against the Knicks this year in the postseason, he has not hit 28 points but the second game of the series. We talked about this since game one. In game one, they didn't really blitz him that much, maybe like 50% of the time, maybe a little bit less. They left him one-on-one a good amount, though. he just missed his shots. He had 21 shots. They were pretty good attempts, missed them, right? Game 2, really just completely pulled out on the double team there. There really wasn't any more doubles coming. It was really just one-on-one defense with OG and Anunoby once again. And that led to a really good percentage and him going over. And then these last 3 games, it's just been blitzing him the entire game. And it's led to 40% field goal, 48 and 35, right? And even in this last game, you saw his shot attempts go down. Granted, he had 12 free throw attempts, but I just think that this defense is going to continue to do everything they can to say someone else is going to have to beat us. The game 2 loss that the Knicks took really told them what they needed to know about how they needed to guard Cade. And now OG is getting a ton of help, right? He's the primary, but when they bring the screen up to him, everybody's hedging out. And one way you can tell that is the potential assists, right? If you look at the dimes for him in this series, looking at pretty good numbers here. The potential is at 18 now, which is 3 more than he faced during the regular season. He had 15 potentials a game in the regular season, right? When you get to this number, this big a disparity in the series after 5 games, kind of tells you that this Knicks team is doing what they can to force the ball out of his hands way more than maybe teams were doing in regular season games. So for Cade, I'd be looking at under on the points. I think the assists are a bit high, but I think the rebounds are another good look here, as his rebound chances have also been really high. 13.6 rebound chances in this series versus 10 on the regular season. Another volume stat, right? Rebound chances, potential assists. These are volume stats that tell me the volume is there for him. Like, the opportunities are there for him to get these things. So we should continue to believe that he's capable of getting them, right? 7 assists on about almost 14 rebound chances per game. That adds up. 50 to 55% of your rebound chances probably likely to end up in actual rebounds. And a guy like Cade, who's guarding OG and Anunoby, is really good for these boards because he's always playing off ball. And a lot of times he's guarding the guy that's in the corner, and that's good for standing on the baseline and getting rebounds off of that stuff. Now, this one I'm a little bit less sure on, but I also like the under for Jalen Brunson. Not only, obviously, he went under in this last game, played 36 minutes, missed a few minutes here and there when he turns his ankle, right? In pivotal moments, by the way. And the ankle turn was with, like 2 minutes left in the game of that game 5 that he just played. So what's to say that, like, 2 days later, only 2 days after travel to Detroit from New York, what's to say that ankle is fully healed? I can't imagine that it is. I actually trust the Cade under more than the Jalen under, mostly because the defense is selling out to get rid of, to keep Cade from taking the shot. As much as the Detroit Pistons all have their eyes on Jalen Brunson when he's going one-on-one with Ausar Thompson or Dennis Schroeder, he's a lot better at just getting an easy shot, getting to the free throw line, and then, getting into space in a way that, like, he avoids the double team. So I like him more for the points. Like, I don't like his under as much as my point. But if I'm looking at him, he looks like Saquon Barkley after just getting, 29 carries in a game in the NFL. Like, he's just bruised, bro. Injuries everywhere. If you look at his X-ray chart, right, he's got injuries on like 3 or 4 different spots on him, and it's going to take its toll by game 6, like this one. I think he's going to have to get the ball out of his hands. I'd be going under on JB in this game. Some of y'all are probably going to skip ahead as soon as I bring this up. But Tobias Harris, first quarter points, anybody? Didn't hit last game. He took 3 shots, played 9 minutes, as he did get subbed out in that one, which does make you nervous because in the prior game, he played the full 12. He's played 10 in every single first quarter this series, at least. And then all of a sudden he plays 9. Could have also just been when the substitution came. I think we should continue to expect him to play 10. And it's one of these things, man, where I've told you guys, like, it's just an auto play for me. I can't get away from it. In this series, I understand he's at 4.5. During the regular season, not the playoffs, he's at 5.1 first quarter points per game. So I'm going to believe in what I've seen from him, because it's not just about the minutes. It's also about the field goal attempts, which we've also talked about here as we've tried to bet on him multiple times. And he still hit this, by the way, in 3 out of 5 games. One game he went 0 for 4. This game he goes 1 for 3. And then that's it. That's what we get. Cade also took 6 shots in the first quarter this last game, which was also out of the norm for him, as they usually look to get Tobias Harris going. And that's what I think we'll see in this one a lot more. At least another 4, if not 5 shots for Tobias Harris. 2 of those are 3-pointers. And we don't even need him to hit that good of a percentage for us to get what we need from him, especially with the 1 or so free throw attempts that he normally gets. So we're going to go back to it, man. We're still at plus money. We're getting better odds because he missed it in the last game. So coming off of an L, we're going to take this again on the over first quarter points for Tobias Harris. Switching gears to the Western Conference game on Thursday night, game 6 in LA now, as Denver is going to be on the road trying to win this one, and LA obviously trying to push it back to Denver. But go ahead and give that video a like if you have not yet done so. It goes a super long way in helping out the channel, so much appreciated there. And these notes that I have for game 6, really the main thing here was Denver's offense in games 5, right? Denver figured out that zone, and we saw the Clips go to that zone as they made their comeback in game 5, which they couldn't complete, but they made that comeback at least to bring it to a reasonable end of the game there. And the reason that they were is because they started playing zone and Denver wasn't ready for it, but they came out in it again in game 6 or game 5 rather, and Denver was ready for it this time. One way you can tell is they had 29 assists against it, which means they were moving the ball well and not relying on one-on-one stuff. They did shoot a good percentage from 3, but we'll see if that can continue. And that is the third bullet there too. Just skipping over the role players one real quick. 18 plus points for Denver. They had 6 more threes made than the Clips, but the Clippers had 16 more points in the paint, which means the difference kind of at the end of the day was Jamal Murray. He wasn't missing. He shot an awesome percentage from 3 to be sure, but en route to 43 points, he was getting a lot of stuff towards the rim and off the mid-range as well. And they had no answer for him, honestly. The role players at home thing for LAC, which is the second one, which probably should have been the last bullet. Whatever, I'm tired. The thing about that bullet there is not only on offense, but on defense, right? Because Chris Dunn is a role player, and he got cooked by Jamal Murray, which meant that they needed Bogey to come in and do a lot more, and he played 23 minutes as a result of that, which was the most he'd played, I believe, since game 1. I don't even think he got that many in game 1, as it became obvious he wasn't really able to stay on the court because of his defense. But the role players now, like Bogey, being hidden, if they do play the zone, it kind of hides his poor defense. We saw him have a good game in this last one, and the same thing for Chris Dunn. Had a pretty good game on offense, just got cooked on defense. Is he able to use the crowd and the momentum to sort of stop a guy like Jamal Murray? Role players at home are going to be important, equally so on defense for the Clips as they will be on offense. And we're going to look at both those guys' props here in just a minute. Kicking off the matchup stuff here with the Nuggets on offense, and this is going to be the same, but we should mention one thing. Looking at the bottom, Harden's on Gordon, right? They have actually put Harden on Jokic at times, and it's not like he's one-on-one with Jokic, but the way that they're playing the zone is that whenever Jokic gets the ball in the middle, right near the top of the foul line or so, they're like, as soon as he's there, whomever is playing up top needs to drop and guard him, right? So that would normally be Harden, or if it's the guy in the wing who needs to come out and guard him. But they don't want Zubac being the guy to take Jokic one-on-one. They want Zubac coming up to guard Jokic as the second defender, right? So that way he's able to help off and help onto Jokic. And really it's because they want a guy already draped on Jokic, like James Harden. Like, look, Harden, if you're not going to try that hard defense, just throw your weight onto Jokic and then make it harder for him when he's going up against Zubac, who comes up to defend him right at that point in the defensive sequence. So we're going to see Harden on Gordon a bit, but we're really going to see a zone in a way that's going to have Harden oftentimes on Jokic, and then that's going to help Zubac have just a dude putting dead weight on Jokic when he goes to defend it. On the other side of the ball with the Clips, pretty much status quo here, as everybody that you see guarding the guy that's kind of guarding them, or at least you would think to do so. And Gordon and Leonard is really the key matchup there, as Aaron Gordon has done a pretty good, if not great job on Kawhi. And they do continue to bring double teams. We saw him have a ton of assists, right? I think it was 11 dimes in this last game for Kawhi. I would expect the same thing here. I really want to take Kawhi to just like go off and have a game, but the defensive game plan is clearly like, double Kawhi, and don't even be afraid to leave Harden at times because he's not trying to catch and shoot, right? And we're going to talk about Harden here on player props as we get into that right now. Starting with Kawhi, just because we're talking about him, he's by no means my favorite bet, but I do want to make clear that I would rather way rather go over on the assists than the points. And the main reason is these 11 assists came on 12 potentials. And that's not even like it's that crazy when you look at the other games that he's played in this series. 7 potentials, 9, 7, and also 11 in this game. So he's had 11, 12, 9, 7, basically around 10, 9, 10 potential assists per game. That's plenty for me to get plus money for over 4.5 for him, like plus 124. And they tried to give him the ball, right? He had the ball a ton in this last game. He had 37 passes made. He was second on the team in touches behind James Harden, which you would expect, which tells you they're giving him the ball. He's getting touches, but the Denver defense is just shifting over towards him, and they're really forcing the ball out of his hands. So if they're going to continue to force the ball into Kawhi's hands, the Clippers, and the Nuggets are going to continue to force it out of his hands, then I'm going to continue to believe that his assists are a better look than his points. And I think that'll be a way that he's able to help this team win. But that's going to lead us to role players, right? And those role players are going to have to come up big for this Clippers team, which is what I talked about at the top in the game notes. I guess you consider Norm a role player, but I'm actually skipping right over him, and I am going to Bogey, and I'm going to Batum. Those are the two guys I like to hit some shots in this game. I guess the books don't yet believe in Bogey. I don't think this will be at 6.5, but I think 10 plus points for him is still a good look. I think we can probably bank on about 18 to 22 minutes, and there's this might be conservative, right? Like he played 23 in this last one, in part because he's playing down the stretch, and I think he probably would have had a few more minutes if this game was close and they really needed him down the stretch, right? But it wasn't, so they didn't. So if you give him 18 to 22 on the season, he's at about 6.5 points per game. 6.5 points per game in 15 games. That's with a 20-minute average. Let's give him the 20 to 24 average, which I also think is relatively conservative because I think we could see him play as many as 26, 27 minutes if this is a close game. But now we're getting up to about 8 points a game in the games that he's played with 20 to 24 minutes this season. And I think that's a pretty accurate projection for him. The assists are at about 2.5. We're getting big plus money for that. We hit a really nice parlay with him in the last game because we knew he was down for some more minutes in this game. And I think those minutes are going to come back in this one as well for Bogdanovic. So I think the points are going to be a great look. You're still getting 6.5. I imagine a lot of you will watch this episode and it'll already be at 7.5. So I apologize for that if it does happen, but I would still take the 7.5 because, like I said, 10 plus points for him for plus money is going to be a good look in this one. And then I'm going to Batum, who I'm probably going to be putting some parlays on as well. The rebounds, they're up to 3.5, but we've been playing over 2.5. It's been a great look for him in this series, in part because he's playing off ball, and now we're getting the zone, right, where he's playing down on the baseline on that zone in perfect position for rebounds when the ball comes off, especially on the opposite side of the court when they're shooting. Ball comes on the other side of the rim. Anyway, 3.5, we're getting high here. But if we're talking about 2.5 and we're looking at the playoffs here, and the rebound chances have been great for him. 6.2, up about 1.2 for him from on the season. And if we look at the minutes and we see he's been playing on in this series about 21.8, right? So let's give him about a 20 to 24 minute projection in this game. If we put his floor at 20 minutes, and let's put him on the regular season here, we put him at 20 minutes and we put his ceiling at about 24, which is fair. Then we're looking at 3.5 boards, right? Which to me, I like the 2.5. It's just gone. So I have to take 2.5 juice. I'm down to take that and parlay it with something like 5.5 points. I love that we're getting minus 110 for 5.5 points when the threes for two of them, actually they've given us better money on the threes. So either way, I do think it's going to be predominantly threes. If you like the points at 5.5, it's a very safe bet. If you want slightly better odds for the 1.5 threes, pretty nice bet. And I like parlaying that with 3 rebounds for him and seeing if we can get close to 3 to 1. I would say probably like plus 220 is probably a fair expectation for over points, over rebounds for Batum in this game here. Since I think that the Clippers are going to win this game on the defensive side of the court, I think we're safe to take an under on James Harden PRA. I mean, first of all, this has not been his series. Obviously, we know what James Harden is capable in game 1 of the playoffs. He's always awesome in game 1 of the playoffs. And he was in this one as well. 6 boards, 11 dimes, 32 points, killed it. 50% from the field, hitting his threes, awesome. Game 1, James Harden, killer. Everything after that is up in the air, especially by the time you get to games 5 through 7. Total crapshoot. And considering he has not been doing this anyway against this team this series, I'm down for an under on James Harden. But because I like the Clippers to probably win this game and force things back to the next series, I think it's worth it to take James Harden parlayed with the Clippers, the under for James, parlayed with the Clippers to win the game. That's what we call that negative correlation, right? Quick explanation there. If we bet 2 things in one bet where we're saying we think James Harden's not going to do well, but we think his team is going to win the game, and we parlay that together, we get better odds. We get increased odds, right? Maybe normally that'd be plus 200, but because those things are negatively correlated, we're going to get them up to like maybe plus 350, right? We're going to get some extra juice there, as we say in the industry here. So I think that's the way I play the Harden under. Is I do like the under PRA. I probably play that as a single on 36.5, even 35.5 for him. And then I look to also parlay that with the Clippers to win the game. For the Nuggets, because I don't really like them to win the game, I'd rather go and find some unders for them rather than bank on guys to go over. We saw them get absolutely shellacked. Which game was it that they lost, right? The first one in LA, they lost by 34 points. The Intuit Dome might actually be a real home court advantage. It was rocking. They lost by 34. most people went under as a result for the Nuggets. I don't know if this is a 30-point blowout, but I could see this game being so high energy for the Clippers that maybe they're not able to do as well, right? If we're talking about Christian Brown in this game, this is where I go for unders because this is what he does against the Clippers. The best one for me is always the dimes for him. I know he's coming off 2 games where he's had the more than 2.5 assists, but one was this game right here where he probably got some friendly stats being kept by the Nuggets home stat keeper because he had 2 potential assists and 3 total assists. So the computers keeping track of the potential assists said, well, that wasn't a potential assist even, much less an assist. And the stat keeper, who probably grew up with a Nuggets poster, and maybe Antonio McDyess, Nick Van Exel, somebody as a poster on his wall, is the guy keeping stats, and he wrote down 3 that one of those was an assist for our boy here. But I like the under, and so does everybody, because it's minus 174 on FanDuel or 175 on DK. You get the point. It's the very high likelihood that he goes under on the 2.5. But the boards, he's been an absolute madman against this team. And if you look at his boards in the the playoffs rather against them, he's at 12.6 rebound chances, up 3.3 from his regular season stuff. He's getting some offensive boards. He's managing to crash defensive boards, in part because even though he's the lead defender on James Harden, and that pulls him further from the basket, we've also seen other guys help so much on James Harden at times that often leads Christian Brown to have to switch off anyway, and then he's available for rebounds as he's off ball. But I think the rebounds are probably safe at about 5. So he's another guy where I'm like, maybe I take an over on the boards, but I take the Clippers to win the game, another negative correlation, or maybe I take it over on the boards, but an under on like points and assists, something to that effect, because I think there's ways to get some value off of the Christian Brown stuff here. All right, that is all the time we have for today. Potentially got a live show coming on Thursday. We'll see if I got the time. Still got plenty to do, but since we're getting this episode out early on Wednesday night for Thursday slate, would love to be able to get a live show going with you guys tomorrow. So I'll keep you all posted on that. Until I see you next, happy betting.